Hello and welcome to the first video here on Bonfire Studios. In this episode, episode 1, me and my brother, the co-host, will be discussing Borderlands 3 and Borderlands 2 and which one is better.
Heard I was summoned.
I'm taking my argument that Borderlands 2 is a better game.
And I'm taking my argument that Borderlands 3 is a better game. And I just think I'm right, because I am.
So we'll start off in our first category,
Which
of
is guns in gameplay.
The thing about this one is that there aren't really any arguments between us. We both agree that Borderlands 3 has the better gameplay and has the better guns.
It's true. I mean, but one thing about Borderlands 3 is I played Borderlands, obviously, games before, but in 2 in the pre-sequel, which I played before 3, I didn't find myself going around and fighting raid bosses and re-fighting bosses to get more loot. But in this game, I did. I think the gun's design, even the sounds, the reloading mechanics, sound so good, and it makes me want to go back and farm more guns. That I didn't get that feeling in 2, but kind of everyone agrees on that. Even people that think 2 is better, people agree on this,
2 definitely had tons of guns. That's what the series is known for. But you kind of realize that a lot of them are redundant in the same.
You know what that bandit
once you
shark
play
gun?
through, the bandit shotgun with the sharks. It's every bandit shotgun. The bandit SMG with the 2 mags on the side.
The
that you pump out.
stupid Maliwan
They're all the
pistol with
same.
the revolver thing.
Every Jacobs assault rifle had the giant wheel on it, which was pretty dumb. But I mean, it's still unique. It's a weird thing for games to do that. But once you play 3, you realize that it pales in comparison. 3 has so many different guns. How they play is different. How they do stuff is different. It's not without fault though. Certain gun types are the exact same no matter what. Every Maliwan gun you get, it's gonna have that stupid charge up. Basically.
Yeah,
every
shotgun.
The charge up shotgun, a charge up sniper, a charge up SMGs until that, but the sniper and shotgun charge up is very, very poor. I also wish they had more guns that don't have status effect. I know it might be a hot take, but I wish some guns were just normal guns and normal looking. Even Jacob's guns, which were the normal guns in what we would see today, were super, super fancy in this game. I wish they had more. I wish they had more simple, not so over the top, where every gun had to be different. I wish they had more just oh, this is a gun. And I don't think there aren't
many guns.
I don't think there are any gray guns either. They're all started green.
There are the white/gray guns, but there aren't many. You find that one in the beginning chest, and you're not really finding it again. Especially since once you get farther on in the game, you usually equip Mayhem. I personally, it's just boring if I don't have Mayhem because guys are dying in a single shot if I have max account. But you really need Mayhem, and you just don't find common guns. But not much to complain about. But even in the base game, there were some times I was killing the Agonizer 9000 on a new account. I'm talking this. My guy was only level 25 or whatever. Killed him within a couple seconds because I had I did the Cartels event and got the Butcher, which if you know, you know. It's crazy. But that's kind of how you agree. Borderlands 3 might have some of the best. It's also super fun. It's really fun to play and it's addicting as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would agree that the gameplay is addicting. It's the thing that keeps bringing me back. It's what makes the game. To us, it's the only thing that the game has done for it.
Yeah.
But, it's great gameplay. I like playing the gameplay more than I like playing
really
any gameplay with the guns, with mantling, with the sliding, all those mechanics. It makes the fast paced and hectic gameplay even more fast paced and hectic.
They made even the abilities are more fancy with having 3, which
you do have each skill tree now has an ability. And the other Borderlands 2 obviously it had the 3 skill trees, but they were all the same. Accent 3 skill trees, but they were all 4 as turret.
And then if you get the designer's cut, you get an extra skill tree, which is super sick. Which we kind of both good on that. But next to a next topic, which is kind of agreed on but a little bit split, is the level design of the actual places you go in the game itself throughout the level design. So we'll start off with you. You're a Borderlands 2 fan. Then we'll go to me.
I prefer the level design. Level design, not only the level design, but what areas look like is a better term. Not much how it's laid out. I think is better. Although another thing I think a lot of the level design in 3 is bring you into this giant room that's very boxy and has a few staircases on the side or shipping containers. Kill everyone. Walk through a small hallway. Do the exact same thing. All of the bosses, most of the bosses, and all the stuff are just giant open arenas. Which, I mean, whatever, but is just kind of weak.
That is
like
true.
take the Calypso Twins, the Final Best. It's just a giant platform. But if you look at the Warrior, it had those rocks. You would raise the lava.
Especially with the bunker and stuff. I didn't like how they slapped you into a circle.
Even one of the best boss, even one of the most unique bosses, the second Vault Monster, where he shifts the platform. It's still just a giant platform with a few holes. They could have done so much cool stuff. A lot of it's just big flat areas. Like the first Psycho you fight, as soon as you walk in, you meet Children of the Vault. Big open platform it's just in a boxy room. Guitar Guy, a big open boxy room. The Agonizer 9000, which makes more sense why he's there, because it's like an arena. You're supposed to watch what's happening. Still, just a big circle. A lot of it is just flat platform when you fight. Like even the bunker head, you could go underneath. You could go on the little thing with the water fountain. You could do all this cool stuff. The Warrior had all that area. Even Knuckle Dragger, the first boss, it was a giant area. There was the containers. You can move all around. Boom Boom was kind of like that, but even then it was a huge area. You could go behind him. You could go up to
There were like walls and stuff you could hide behind too.
Captain Flint was a giant area,
with like
it had the flames coming up.
It's kind of like, when you think about it, that's pretty similar to the Agonizer 9000 with the flames and crap.
I'd say one of the bosses that come to mind that are open platform is Bloodwing, the bird. That's kind of just an open area.
True.
Which is kind of weak, but it's kind of there for a reason. That's where he's like caged up, and that's where he comes out.
But what I think Borderlands 3 seems to shine at those two is how well, especially with the art style of Borderlands 3, it looks very, very nice. How well everything looks. They have, more beautiful planets, like Athenas and Necrophail, things like that.
Also, we got sidetracked. That was supposed to be in level design, and I just talked about bosses. We'll go back.
Yeah.
But yeah, as he was saying, the planets are great. The planets look super nice.
The jungle, and and he actually just said this the other day. When you're in Eden 6, everything is so big. Buildings, there are you see literally crashed spaceships all around the place, and the trees are also massive. You feel like you're like a Lego figure on some massive set, in some jungle sets.
I will say though, that planet's great. I think Necrophail is great, but the problem with what is it, Promethea?
Yeah, Promethea, the city one.
Yeah, that one I think is pretty weak because you do the same thing. You get in the spinny wheel car, and you drive it down the same street to the same spot over and over. That's so redundant. It's just the same thing. It's Reese complaining of the thing, with the other lady talking about whatever she was saying, and then it's just the same. Driving down the street,
it would be kind of cool.
You take the right turn.
If you went to somewhere else, if you met up with them at some
or even that, there's skyscrapers. If you had to fight through floors of that, imagine how sick that would be.
Yeah, I think they did kind of underwhelm with that plan.
Here's this massive building, fight through each floor and get to the top in waves. That would have been cool.
It's you can tell that they worked more in Eden 6, especially the way.
Especially Eden 6, you're there for so much longer. That's I see Eden 6 is a third of the game. Maybe you also maybe 2/3.
Especially on the what's it called, the Family Jewel. You go through that. You also go through
which is unique. That's cool. That's a cool setting.
You go to the mansion too. I wish they
you go underneath the mansion.
Yeah, I wish they did more things like that with Promethea. But it's
Or I think they're pretty close. This is a close thing. They both have great areas. I just like Borderlands 2. I like how there's the desert, which is the gross and gritty part. You have the nice part, which is all the Hyperion cities. You have the wastelands, which are you have the snow areas.
Fight the rats underground.
You go under. Oh, I totally forgot. You have the whole sewer system underneath.
Yeah.
Where you fight the rat people, the doll rat people.
Steal your money.
Because doll left everyone down there.
Yeah, doll.
And they take your money, and you have those giant crystal things. If you go even deeper under.
Yeah.
They have. What else do they have? The Wildlife Preserve, all of that. It's all Hyperion experimenting on the creatures, but it just looks super nice.
It looks really, really good.
And it's a mixture of Hyperion and just wildlife. Which another part I think Borderlands 2 did better is that wildlife you fought way more. They were bigger in the battles, whether it was the Skags or the Bullymogs or the Crystal guys or the rain. What are they called? No, not the birds. The weird bugs.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. The ones that fly around.
The ones that fly around.
Vicors,
it's I don't know. It's the ones that Mordecai light on fire when you're fighting him.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool.
Those
places.
are super fun.
It took
Borderlands the ones that go invisible. That they crawl around, they fight you.
Because Borderlands 1, you see Wasteland. Borderlands 2 showed up, and it's fun. It's funny because when you look at Pandora from the sky, when it's from Angel's point of view, and it just looks like a desert, but then Borderlands 2 shows that it's
And-
not a desert. And I don't
it's
like
got
how
the,
they
it's got all the volcano places. You got Iridium Blight.
William Blight. When you find Handsome Jack's what is his mom or whatever, his grandma.
Yeah, so in side quests, such fun side quests, but I think this one's pretty close. Borderlands 3 has the cool planets, which is unique. You can travel the galaxy.
And this isn't even including DLC. You haven't even gotten to that yet.
But I kind of think that I prefer just one giant fleshed out place over a bunch of like half worked on places. That's just my opinion.
Nah, yeah, it's true. It's agreed upon. But on that's kind of what it says. Now we're trying to start to get into topics that a lot of people are split upon. Is the actual characters of the game themselves. So what I think about this is some of the people were annoying. Ava, let's just not talk about it. And let's just not talk about Ava. Some people are like, yeah, but if you look at the actual things and look at the designer's cut, I don't care. Because the designer's cut isn't in the main game.
Yeah,
I don't give a crap.
I don't even know if the designer cut was actually made before. I think it might have been some. I could be wrong, but it seems like that's something a company would do. Like, oh, we
We
can
had a funeral plan.
we can write good dialogue. We just chose to make it dumb and goofy.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people make the argument, if you're going for a good story, don't play Borderlands, which I think was defeated in Borderlands 2. Borderlands 2 had good dialogue. They were
did.
well-written characters. I don't think don't think about Ava. Ava's in the story. You can't just ignore her. She's a
She
bad
got
character.
in Sanctuary or whatever.
She's annoying, and she inherited what Roland started.
Yeah.
I just think that's kind of a weird way to just put it into
But
that.
I do think people look at, and it honestly, hearing Ellie say VH 1,000 times,
And
makes
they
me
all
wanna slap her.
say the same thing. Ellie says VH.
What's her name? Says Killer, Lilith, or whatever.
Just says Killer. The only one I will accept calling her the same name is Moxie. That's the only acceptable person.
Yeah, sugar. That's where it's at. But I do think there were some fun characters. I think Reese, Clay, and Zero. I would do more missions with them,
Yes,
especially
Reese,
Clay and Zero. Like I
Reese
want to
could
see.
get annoying. Sometimes Reese had dialogue that's repeated, or he had like stutter, which I think was nice. But some parts were him like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm the leader of Atlas.
Yeah, but Zero and I think Clay were some top tier
I
characters in
think
that game.
Clay was one of the best written characters, but I think Borderlands 2 characters are written
I
better.
think they're better. I
I
think they're better.
Look, Brick, Mordecai, Lilith, Roland. I think not only are they better, they're written better. Lilith is way better written in Borderlands 2 than she is
Like
in Borderlands 2. She's like, I don't know what I'm doing with all these new siren powers. She had years to command the Crimson Raiders, and she's still confused and doesn't know what to do in the third one.
Like she sends Maya down there where she knows that people that could take Siren's powers that did the exact same thing to her, she still sends them down there to go fight them. I just
Commander
don't.
Lilith is like, oh wow, she knows what she's doing. She has a plan. She does all
But
these
she
things.
doesn't.
She defends the plan, and then 3 comes around. She's like, oh my gosh, Children of the Vault.
And then-
Which in the cutscenes, like, these are the Children of the Vault, who they know about. They know they exist.
And
And
know
she's
what's also
still
funny?
just like, I don't know what I'm doing.
She can teleport anywhere. She literally teleports the stand right next to Troy, but she doesn't teleport away. Like she could have literally teleported onto Sanctuary and just flew, but she decided to stay there. But yeah, I think Lilith just kind of went downhill, and they just kind of made her seem like she doesn't know what she's doing. And I think that was part of it to like have more characters almost take a lead role. But like I don't care. Like there was entire DLC building up to it, but then she was just kind of like, let's go open vaults and let me get people killed. And then Ava's like yelling at her. There are some annoying parts.
You know, the more you talk, it sounds like you don't like this game.
No.
But another thing that goes with the written characters and how they act is the jokes. I thought Borderlands 2 was a funny game.
Yeah.
If you thought Jack over the Echolog, whether it was scooping out someone's eyeballs
The
or
spoon.
the Diamond Pony, or like Butt Stallion, I think he is such a well-written character. They're funny. Brick makes funny jokes. Lilith makes funny jokes. There's no like super awkward bad scene that isn't 3. There's just good dialogue. Even when Jack's telling you to go kill his grandmother or to kill yourself, it's all just fun.
It's
It
fine.
makes it sound nice.
It
I
does.
said kill yourself. That's might get taken down.
Yeah.
Oops. Whatever. Another, but I think it's better. It's a better written. There's no
Yeah.
argument. And speaking of well written, the villain, which I think the Calypso twins were a cool idea. Like, see, the original Vault Hunter, they came from him, but then they made them Twitch streamers and they gave them horrible writing.
Here's
It's
the
same
thing about Borderlands 3. Story and writing are different things, and I think people kind of get them confused. But the story of Borderlands 2,
idea.
like the idea of sirens that want to go open more vaults, they can leech the monster, to leech to destroy the most
The
powerful
concept
being.
of it was to bring back the guy who was in the first one, who was kind of like a mid-boss in that game, but to bring him back and then control the universe is a great concept, but the people doing it are just annoying
They just made
teenagers.
the writing super
They just
annoying.
took the modern Twitch streamer yelling into his camera and made them villains of one of the most anticipated
Games.
end to a trilogy that people
I do think they're overhated, and I feel like this is gonna make me think I don't like the game. I do. Borderlands 3 is like my favorite game of all time. I do think they are slightly overhated. I think people are like, oh, this game's story is unplayable. Like, it's not. You can have a good time with the story.
No, it's
when you're thinking about getting the vault key pieces and doing the stuff. Like, Eden 6 was a fun planet, mainly because Tyrene didn't show up a lot.
It's not the worst. The game is the best. The game is the best when the Calypso twins and Lilith are talking.
Yeah.
Everyone else
Like-
is pretty decent. Like Mai was good to talk to. Hammerlock.
Hammerlock's cool. Clay was cool. Wainwright
was cool. But
Reese was cool when he
Reese
was.
was cool. His friend.
Zero.
No, not Reese.
Katagawa.
No, the naked guy who walks around.
Vaughn.
Vaughn is horrible. There's the part where you're in
The stupid bandit
You're
car
in
with
the
the iridium
bandit- the
amplifier.
bandit car with the thing and you're driving is so cool, like a Warthog Run Halo style, but in Borderlands. But he's just talking, saying the dumbest thing like "blood feud." It's horrible. He's so bad, which I get. Like I played part of the Tales, and he's like a weird nerdy loser, and then he goes to the bandits, and now he's insane. But it's still just it's just
Yeah.
bad. But yeah,
But I do think
I don't. The Coastal Twins aren't. Maybe they're not as bad as I think they are. I think it's. I replayed it recently, Survival Mode. The gameplay and stuff like that is way better than I thought.
it's very
But the
addictive.
writing is worse than I remember. Way worse. It is very poorly written. Handsome Jack, I think, is one of the best written characters of all time because he's someone you could almost like get with. Like the
Yeah.
Coastal Twins, you just hate them. Not only are they annoying over the camera, they're not good
They're
people.
evil.
They hate each other. The siblings hate each other. They hate their dad. Their dad lived away because his kids are evil, and she killed her mom. Jack, you can feel bad for. He wants to protect his daughter and save Pandora. And he's like, oh, everyone's like, he can't kill everyone on Pandora. That's what you do. You
Yeah.
go around Pandora killing all the bandits in 2, which is what Jack wants to do, just kill everyone,
Yeah.
and everyone hates him. But you kill his daughter. His wife is gone. And everyone's like, I think you can get with him. You can see
Yeah.
why he's
And-
so mad.
I know this kind of goes back. We're still in characters, right? If I look correctly. So Lilith, when you go back to this, is kind of going off track. But one thing about Jack is he was betrayed. Lilith, they didn't give him any warnings. Lilith and Roland didn't give him any warning. Lilith just shows up and it's like, hey, handsome, and punches them in the face. Like she never said, hey, you should stop doing this. Think about what you're doing. She just goes, hey, I'll just kind of show up at last minute, do my face thing, and punch him in the face. Like she doesn't give him a warning, and you feel kind of like Jack was betrayed. They just showed up and they killed him. No one helped him. They saw he was kind of going insane, being corrupted by the vault, but they didn't do anything to stop it. They
Yeah,
waited to the last minute.
He wasn't horrible. Hyperion was worse. The guy who wrote it before him was a more evil person.
Yeah,
Like it was way more corrupt company.
But 'cause no one-
over, and then they could tell that they had him doing all this stuff, and he was going insane, and he was working for them, and they were teammates, and they were like, "Yeah, well, goodbye. You're bad now."
and
Like,
like,
dude,
but
you're sending him on all these missions,
Yeah,
making him do all this dangerous stuff, and you wonder why he's corrupted by the most ancient species in the world,
Yeah.
and like where everyone goes to get
And, like,
power.
you know, it
Yeah.
shows him the future. Like it's Lilith's fault. It's Lilith's fault that
Lilith is kind of the blame for
they
everything.
don't
that-
do anything to stop it. She just lets him go insane.
He's losing his mind. And then they're like, "Yeah, here, take
Sure.
this vault to the face," and she kind of scars him for life. And then Lilith isn't good.
No, she's not.
She's
Like,
a bad,
you look at
Lilith is a bad leader.
you look at the
She
things
gets
she does.
people killed.
She's the reason for Handsome Jack. She didn't try and help. She just showed up and punched him in the face.
This
She
is kind
gets
of,
Maya
this is kind of
killed.
off topic. I love how we're both complaining about this game now, even though you were supposed to argue for it.
No, but here in this
All right,
time,
here. Let's just stop
it comes down.
You start talking why you think Borderlands 3 is better.
Okay, yeah. Let's just revert this to me. I think so. Cut the video. We're just gonna go into. We're just gonna go back down the list, but kind of do a quick recap, more kind of like that or less. The gameplay and though the guns are amazing. There are so many different guns. You can agree with this too.
Yes.
It's amazing. This game is addicting to play, and here's what makes this game so good. Borderlands 3's gameplay is so good. As long as you put me in a different location that feels fresh, I'm gonna have a blast with the weapons. With the Vault Hunters are so crazy with 3 different abilities. It's so fun, and with the level design, and you have spaceships and planets and like jungles and things like that. And DLCs are pretty good too. Like when you're in Krieg, I think it's a really underrated DLC.
Yeah, we should have left more time in the video for that. But I mean, I think the DLCs are pretty split.
Yeah,
I love
they're
how when
both
you play
good.
3, it's like they had a new writer. It's like they brought back a writer of 2. The DLCs are good. They're
Yeah.
well written. Krieg's
Psycho
DLC,
Insane.
that dialogue is perfect.
That's
But
amazing
it's just-
DLC. It's amazing.
If they had the same written people that did
the
those
Hammerlock DLC is good.
I don't know why they just somehow were horrible.
What's that one called?
But I mean, DLCs are kind of like an agreed thing. They're both great. You can't really
Yeah.
argue.
I mean, Borderlands is known for having extra content. The DLCs in 3, what's that one called? Bounty of Blood. It's a very serious DLC, and that's one of the coolest things about it. But I just think it's super good. The DLCs are good, and the guns and the gameplay are so fun. You can kind of forget about
Okay,
the story.
so your whole idea is the gameplay makes up.
I
I-
think gameplay wavers more than story. Here's my take.
I
Gameplay
do
can
think
save a game, story cannot.
I agree in that.
Example.
However, I don't think this is the best example of that. I think these games are decent at both, so you got to take them at that. I think if they're both playable, then I think you got to compare which weighs more. I think 2 is still fun, and I think 3 is more fun to play in gameplay with no audio. With the audio on, I want to do hate crimes.
Yeah.
But if you look at, I think 2, I don't think the better gameplay makes up for horribly written characters and
Yeah.
horribly written villains. I think the story is way more gripping in 2. I enjoy it more. I like the dialogue more. I like finding echo logs. I like listening.
That's true.
I like when I see someone's face pop up on the right side of my screen. Whenever I see Lilith or Tannis make some stupid joke on the side of my screen, it's game over. I want to turn off the audio and I want to play the game listening to nothing.
Yeah, I mean, knowing you, it's like you know me. I waver gameplay more. I'm a gameplay person. I know you are a very story in depth person, but
It depends. Like I played BioShock games, for example, and I
Doing the same thing for
don't
Wrench, isn't it?
like the BioShock games because of how I don't like the gameplay, which people might not like. I can't stand the gameplay. It just
So essentially, we thought of that. It just depends what we waver more. If you waver story and dialogue more versus gameplay, and I don't make this think I don't like gameplay. I do. I like Souls game and stuff with intense gameplay and intense storyline. I do, but I think when it comes to a Borderlands, is made to be a looter shooter. 3 does that perfectly, and you think that the story does it both perfectly.
I think story weighs more. He thinks gameplay weighs more. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
It truly does.
And
Honestly.
that's basically going to wrap up this. Welcome to the channel. We
guys
hope to
did-
do stuff hopefully weekly. And we're running out of time because we recorded a 23-minute video and we have 10 seconds before it closes.
But yeah,
so
go to
thank
there.
you all for tuning in. Look forward to a video maybe the next day or 2 that wraps it up. Thank you.